We usually judge a skyscraper by its height and its glass exterior, but the most critical part of the structure is the underground foundation. If that concrete is riddled with cracks, the weight of the building will eventually cause it to collapse, regardless of how much steel you add to the top. Modern hustle culture mirrors this structural flaw. We grind through 18-hour days, obsess over time management apps, and rely on sheer willpower to hit our goals. Yet many find themselves facing burnout or stagnation because they are trying to build a massive life on a fractured internal state. Swami Vivekananda taught that the mind is the internal blueprint for every external achievement. He described the physical body as merely the outer layer of a much more powerful mental energy. If that energy is scattered, the external work lacks the stability to endure. When your internal state is saturated with complaints, fear, and unresolved irritation, it creates a frequency that compromises your performance. Every decision you make is filtered through this static, making high-level execution difficult and exhausting. Accelerating your progress requires more than a new business strategy. It requires identifying the psychological weights that are currently draining your energy. Ancient wisdom points to 3 specific anchors that, once dropped, allow the mind to operate at its full potential. The first weight is the anchor of the past. This is the accumulated baggage of old resentments, grudges against those who wronged you, and the nagging belief that because you failed before, you are destined to fail again. This creates a constant internal friction. Attempting to innovate or lead while holding on to these historical grievances is like trying to drive a car with the parking brake engaged. You are burning massive amounts of mental fuel just to maintain a slow pace. While the historical events themselves are fixed, their emotional impact on your present is entirely variable. When your perspective shifts from seeing a mistake as a failure to seeing it as essential data, that dead weight transforms into the momentum you need to move forward. Techniques like Ho'oponopono facilitate this shift. By consciously practicing radical forgiveness and expressing gratitude for the lessons learned, you actively scrub your subconscious of the complaints that distract you from your current goals. Reclaiming this mental bandwidth is a tactical necessity. A mind unburdened by past resentment has the clarity required for high-stakes problem-solving and the resilience to handle new challenges without folding. The second weight operates in the present moment. Gautama Buddha identified this as Trishna, a persistent craving. Today, this manifests as a destructive hunger for instant gratification, cheap dopamine, and the constant avoidance of discomfort. Every time you give in to a minor distraction or an easy comfort, your self-control degrades. Over time, your brain becomes conditioned to seek the path of least resistance, making sustained, difficult work feel physically painful. You can bypass this resistance using the Zen 1-rep rule. By committing to just 10 minutes of action, a single rep of your task, you lower the barrier to entry and allow the rhythm of the work to generate its own psychological momentum. To further strengthen your focus, the practice of Tratak trains the mind to resist the habit of distraction. By fixing your attention on a single point for just 2 minutes, you rebuild the neural capacity for the intense concentration that high-level success demands. Real discipline involves replacing the pull of a craving with the steady momentum of action. When the work itself becomes the focus, the need for external distractions naturally begins to fade. The final weight is the anxiety of the future. This is the obsession with outcomes, the fear of failure, the worry over how you will be perceived, and the pressure of meeting a specific self-imposed deadline for success. This outcome dependence creates a state of chronic stress. When happiness is tied to a future result you cannot fully control, your emotional energy is diverted away from the actual execution of the task. The concept of karma yoga provides a framework for resolving this. It advocates for high-intensity action while remaining completely detached from the final reward. When you stop worrying about the fruit of your labor, your intellectual and emotional resources are no longer split. Every ounce of your focus is concentrated on the present action, resulting in work of significantly higher quality and impact. There is a paradox here. The most effective way to reach a goal is to stop obsessing over its arrival. When the quality of your effort is your only priority, the results tend to take care of themselves. Once you drop past resentment, present distraction, and future anxiety, you reach a state of pure, effortless focus. The noise of the world is replaced by a quiet, steady internal power. In this state, your internal frequency dictates your reality. You no longer see obstacles as personal attacks. They become simple problems to be solved. Decisions that used to feel heavy become obvious and light. You are no longer acting out of a sense of desperation or a need for approval. You are acting out of a deep alignment with your purpose. Before you start your work today, take 30 seconds to pause. Check your internal state and ask, what frequency am I on right now? If you find stress, release it. If you find a complaint, replace it with gratitude. When your internal foundation is solid, your success is no longer just a question, it is an absolute result. Hum Jithinge.